Here we are back again, and this time I'm going to show you how to make the face. So far we've made the body and the head out of 2 pinch pots, and then we attached the arms and the legs, and we talked about how you need to make sure you don't have noodle arms, you've got realistic joints, all right, and knees, and then you make sure that their attachments flow into the body in a natural way, all right? So now comes the part you've all been waiting for, the face. This is going to require a little bit of patience on your part, a little bit of detail work, so make sure you have the best tools available to you, all right? And make sure you take full advantage of them. So what I'm going to start with are the major forms of the face. So a lot of animals have a nice long snout, all right? That's where their noses are, and so I'm going to show you how to make a nice long snout, all right? So I like to start with a piece of clay, and I get it into roughly a pyramid shape. So you can kind of see how, you know, there's a little bit of a top, and if you can imagine, like this is about where the nose will go, all right? And then the mouth is somewhere down here. All right, so it's a kind of like, and you can see how it tapers towards the top, all right, and it's pretty, and it's not too big, so I'm going to just leave it solid and make sure I attach it really, really well by slipping and scoring. All right, and I want my bear to kind of be looking up, so I'm going to actually put his nose kind of angled up as opposed to right down here, all right, and he's looking up. Add a little bit of water and squish it right on there. Now I'm going to go ahead and smooth everything in here. Make sure it looks like it's one piece of clay, right? That's always our goal when we connect pieces. All right, and I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of clay to fill in any areas that I think should look like a smoother transition, right? Like for example, you can kind of see how there's like this weird angle happening down there. So I'm gonna just take a little bit of clay and fill that, and move his arms a little right now, and fill that in. There we go. That's a much better looking chin for our bear. There we go. Good, and just make sure you get everything nice and compressed. All right, compression is always the key. Fill in a little bit over here too. All right, so there's my bear looking up. Actually, now that I'm kind of looking at it, I think his snout might be a little bit long, which is no big deal. No big deal, that's an easy fix. We're just gonna take a little bit off right there, and do a little bit of reshaping. There we go. That's a much better bear nose. There we go. Okay, so now our bear has a snout. Yep. I need to stop fussing with his snout. There we go. Okay. And now he needs some, we need to kind of figure out where are we going to put the eyes. So eyes are a little bit tricky. I'm going to see if I can move this closer for you. All right, eyes are a little bit tricky. I like to make my eyes, I like to start by, all right, making kind of a little indent right about where I want the eyes to go. All right, make the eye sockets just like that. Okay. And then I'm going to add some clay. Once I kind of get the shape of the eye sockets, I'm going to add the eyeballs, okay? And so you do that by making 2 little identical pieces of clay, all right? So I've got two the same shape. And now what I'm going to do is roll them into a little bit of an oval shape, and then flatten it ever so slightly, and then I'm going to press that right in, all right? I'm not trying to flatten it, I'm trying to keep its dome shape. All right. Now, we've been talking about gesture and expression, and so this is where the position of the eyes gets very important, right? If you look at my bear here, you'll notice how his eyes are angling in towards his nose, all right? And you'll notice all the curves on my happy bear do this like upward arch thing because happy eyes go up, right? Whereas if you look at my grumpy bear, all right, you'll notice how his eyes have more of this like downward kind of action and like they're angled in just a little bit, but his eyebrows really do the movement, okay? So it's a couple different types of eyes. I'm going to show you how to do open eyes, just like Grumpy Bear, all right? We'll do eyes just like that. But, you know, closed eyes are an option, okay? So, open eyes. What we want to do, so we have our two little eyeballs in here, all right? And then what we're going to do is we're going to add eyelids. Now, eyelids make a whole lot of difference in the expression, right? When your eyelids are kind of low, that's very different from if they're wide open. So, my happy bear is going to have, I think his eyes are, his happy eyes are kind of like pinched, because when you smile, you know how your eyes kind of pinch, right? So, I'm rolling little tiny coils and then flattening them, right, and kind of pinching the edges, and this is how I make eyelids. Now, just like the limbs, you do 2 at a time and place them on to make sure you have the same size. Always key, same size, right? And then I'm just going to go ahead and smooth in those eyelids. Good. And then I'm going to do the same technique. I'm going to roll a nice skinny coil, just like this, for the bottom eyelid, and then flatten it a little bit. Now the bottom eyelids are always just a little bit smaller than the big eyelid, or than the top eyelids. But since when you smile, your bottom eyelids kind of go up a little bit, I'm actually making mine bigger. All right, because I gotta get his smile face on. Right? And it's going to look totally weird, and I know that. But this is important. And you need to just see the process through all the way to the end. All right? So now I've got his bottom eyelids on. See that? And so now I'm going to take this handy dandy little tool, and I like this hook end. I'm going to use the hook end just to very gently press those eyelids down. Make sure I get a good connection there. All right, see how that works? Now's a good time for me to start thinking about shaping the eyelid. All right, so I'm gonna just squeeze the eyelids up and get kind of that curve that I want to make him look like a happy bear. All right, I'm adding a little extra clay to this guy. I want that eyelid to be a little bigger. There we go. There we go. So you can see now how he's starting to get his happy eyes by curling up those eyelids. All right, now the next part. While we can, since his eyelids are pretty good, now we want to carve the pupil and the iris part. So this is where things can get a little bit tricky. The first thing that I do is I put the pupil in. Now you have to think about, like, his eyes are partially closed right now, so that's a little tricky. So I'm going to just peel back the eyelids ever so slightly so that I have access to them. And I'm just taking the hook end of my tool and curving that in. So I just curved it just like this. All right, it's really just a swirl with my hook end. All right, so I start at the top, swirl it around into a circle, and boom, there's a pupil. All right, then I'm gonna put my eyelids back down. All right, see how he's looking happy now? There we go. All right, see those eyes? All right, Now, the next part is the eyebrow. That's another important part for expression. So, I'm going to take some clay. I'm going to roll it into this nice coil shape. All right, see that? Tapered, it's thick at the top, coiled at the bottom. All right, and I'm going to make it into the curve that I want. So for happy eyebrows, I want them to be arching upward. All right, so that's how I'm going to make his eyebrows. Again, I'm doing 2 at one time. That way I make sure I get them even. All right, and then I'm also going to do the cheekbones. And so cheekbones, I do the same thing, maybe just a little bit smaller, okay? And then they go on the opposite way, so the thick part goes to the outside. And since my bear is smiling, I'm making his cheekbones curved, but this is all about being expressive. All right, so here's about how I'm going to put in his cheekbones and his eyebrows. But can you imagine, what if I just tweaked his eyebrows just like that? See how that changed his expression all of a sudden? And what if I made his cheekbones less perky? See how that really changed it? All right, so think about, here we go, I'm turning him back to happy. See this, turning him back to happy. All right, so think about how the muscles on your face move whenever you make an expression, all right? And try to channel that. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and just smooth those in. All right, there we go. And right down the center of his face here too. There we go. Good. All right, keeping that snout going. I'm going to blend everything in, nice and easy. And then for these tricky parts here, right around his eye, I'm just going to take my handy dandy little scoopy end of this tool. I'm going to press it down, all right, and then I'm going to just use my finger to kind of push it where I want it to go. All right, same thing for the underside of his eyebrow. I'm going to use the scoopy end of my tool to make sure that's well connected and right where I want it to be. I think I might even dig out the eye a little bit to make that eyebrow, the eye socket, look deeper. All right. Go ahead and carve a little bit out, make the eye socket look deeper. Good. Here we go. We're on our way to our happy bear. Right, see how his cheeks and his eyebrows are all still going upward? All right, yeah. Okay, now the next part that I'm going to do are his ears, right? Now again, with animals, ears tell their mood, so you can really use the ears as a good way to contribute to the gesture and expression of your bear. My happy bear, his ears are going to be up and perky because that's how happy animals look. They have their ears up and perky. So I've gone ahead and made both my ears at the same time. I'm starting with a circle shape, a little flat at the bottom. Maybe it's closer to a half moon. See my little half moon shape there? And I'm kind of making a little cup in the middle so you can see that. And so that's the shape I'm using for the ear. So I'm going to put them on without slipping and scoring right now, just so I can kind of see like, should they be here? Not really. That's pretty good. That's too low. Okay, I want them there. How far back do I want them? Right? I think right there is probably pretty good. So now I'm going to go ahead, and since these aren't going to be as compressed in as the eyebrows got, I'm going to slip and score them on. Really easy. Oh, I should have scored that first, silly me. There we go. Alright, and there are his ears. Alright, and smooth those in really well. So you can see what I'm doing from the back here too. Smooth them in. There we go. Good. So So now we've got those ears on. I want to keep kind of that shape. Alright, so you can see I'm kind of playing with the shape of the ears a little bit. Just so I can get that nice little cup. Ear cup, yeah. There we go. So there are his ears. Alright? And last but not least, it needs a smile. Well, a mouth. In this case, it's going to be a smile, right? So sometimes it helps to look up images of animal noses. If you're not totally sure what your animal's nose should look like. But I already have my little bear, I already have that figured out. Alright, so for my little bear, this is the easiest way I've figured out to make bear noses. Alright, I have a little mark in the middle, and then I'm just going to use the scoop end of my tool to scoop out a little clay. See how I made little cuts like that? Then I'm going to roll that clay forward. Alright, and kind of flatten what was behind it, and now I'm getting a little bit of a definition of the upper nose. Alright, and then I'm going to take my tool and I'm going to scoop out just a little bit for the nostrils. And this is how I get the nose to look like it's part of the face, just by carving it in. Now I'm going to add just a little bit right there in the middle and smooth that out. Alright. And now you can see he's got a little more dimension to his nose, which is perfect. Alright, bear nose. Of course you can smooth it out a little more, but this is going to work for now. If I could stop fussing with it, it would work for now anyway, right? I think I'm going to add a little bit more just to make that middle part, that part, kind of pop out. There we go. Okay, so now we have our bear nose, and now we have to do the smile. So I'm just going to trace on that line that I want. So he's got kind of this curve here, and then I'm going to curve his lips, going to go down around kind of the corner of his face, and then I'm going to give him a nice big smile right there. Alright, and so I'm going to do a mirror image of that line on the other side. There we go. Alright, nice big smile. See that? And so now I'm going to take the loop end of my tool and I'm going to start doing some carving. And I'm going to carve the bottom edge of that. I'm taking clay off that bottom edge so that he's got just a little bit of an overbite. Alright, see how that's happening? He's getting a little bit of an overbite. And that way the shadow really makes his smile stand out. Alright, see that? Okay. Now one last touch, the corners of the lips. We're going to emphasize that by taking, again, small tapered coil of clay. We're going to add it right around that curve of his smile, just to make it stand out a little bit more and add a little dimension to his cheeks. Alright, there we go. And there's my happy bear. Alright? And that's how you do the face.